Hi, I'm Karen Stanley. I am the author of the book Attract the One: How You Can Silence That Inner Bitch and Transform Yourself and Get the Love That You Want and Deserve. And I know a lot of people like to listen to books rather than read them, read the printed books. And I wanted to make this available to anybody who loves an audible or an audio version of a book. I wanted to make it available to you for free. And then if you like YouTube, it'll be on YouTube as well. So I am going to just read, and I don't think I can help myself from having any commentary in between. But this is Attract the One. This is the preface, the preface. I got a phone call, and the man at the other end said, "I have a package that belongs to you." I said, "Great. Okay, thank you." I asked him which house was his. I was assuming that he was one of my next door neighbors. And he hesitated and stuttered a little bit. And then he proceeded to spell out the address of my former home on which the bank had just foreclosed. My vitamins had been mailed to the home that I built, that I was so proud to own, that I probably should have never bought in the first place, and that I couldn't afford, and then I lost. The feeling that I was such a loser rushed through my blood again. So much shame, as it had done so many times. I had to gather the kids in the car that night in the pouring rain, drive to our old home that we no longer lived because I was a big failure. I had to walk up to my old front door and face the stranger that had bought my precious home from the bank for 40% of the price that I had paid just 2 years earlier. I peeked inside to see if he had painted over my $10,000 paint job. He hadn't. Hey, something good comes from everything, right? It was a beautiful home, and I had moved into a rental with shitty carpets, but more on that later. On the drive home, with my eyes glued on the road ahead, painstakingly listened to my kids exclaim how much they loved that house, how much they missed the basement, and missed playing in the park across the way. I got to relive my ultimate humiliation again. Good times. Ladies, I feel you. I went through a divorce, a bankruptcy, foreclosure, and repo all in one magical year. I spent nearly 8 years navigating the charming online dating world while raising 2 kids alone and running a business. And I know what it's like to keep attracting men who don't love you and who don't want what you want. Believe me, I know how easy it is to be disappointed and lose all hope in humanity just by going on a few dates. I vowed on many occasions never to date again. I stayed home for 2 years in a row, taking a manopause, as my hilarious friend Lindsay calls it. I knew intellectually that I needed to be the person I wanted to attract, but I kept derailing myself, making poor decisions, looking for love in all the wrong places, as they say. 90% of the time, I would be my uber responsible Capricorn type A self, and then for that other 10%, I felt like I wanted to rebel for having to be responsible all the damn time. My kids lived with me the vast majority of the time for 8 years, and we never were sure when their dad would be home because of his job. He worked out of town for a few years out of the country for 3 months at a time on 90-day visas. So when he did come home, it was like I was free. I acted like it was my 21st birthday in Vegas, and I would go completely overboard, and I would hate myself in the morning. Then I went to a beautiful wedding and spent the weekend with incredible, loving couples who had been together for decades and were still madly, deeply in love with each other. As I watched my beautiful friend, who was also a single mom, marry the man of her dreams, I had a revelation. 3, in fact. I realized that if it can happen for one of us, it can happen for all of us. And 2, I wasn't going to attract a badass husband unless I felt like a badass when I walked out the door. And 3, no one would love me until I loved myself. What did she have that I didn't? She had confidence. She had self-love. She had undeniable self-worth. And she had certainty. She was certain she would meet her soulmate. And then she did. I knew I had to cultivate those things. I decided that a relationship goal is no different from any other goal, and I was ready to put that hypothesis to the test. I wanted an awesome husband. My desire to have a relationship like the one I had dreamed of having my whole life was put in my heart because it was meant to be for me. So I put every goal-achieving method I knew in place, and I got to work on myself. What I didn't realize at the time that I had created systems for changing my core beliefs and staying focused on what I wanted to create in my life instead of what I didn't want. I should have known. I was always great at creating systems in business, but these systems were strategies for attracting true love. I truly didn't realize at the time that the strategies that helped me improve myself each day and create harmony in my home and practice self-care and keep my focus on the end goal were indeed increasing my self-worth and self-confidence at the same time. Now I know that what was happening behind the scenes is that I raised my standards for whom I would allow into my life. What I realized is that as I increased my self-worth, people who didn't enhance my life were no longer interesting, and I was no longer attracted to them. Neither was I attracting them. Now, I'm no doctor, definitely don't have a fancy degree from Harvard, and I'm not pretending to be some guru like you see on social media. I'm merely sharing the strategies that helped me and my clients achieve the relationship goal we wanted to achieve. My dream is to give you hope if you feel discouraged with dating. I've heard that from numerous people, and that is one of the reasons why I wrote this book in the first place. My passion is helping women attract the relationship they've always wanted. All of us deserve to be loved and cherished exactly the way we are. Maybe you already feel confident and you feel as though you have high self-worth, but perhaps you're holding on to hidden ugly beliefs about men and marriage that you might not realize you have. My journey can show you how to discover your blocks, your beliefs and desires, and how to create the relationship you want, and how to let go of what everyone else wants. I will share with you how creating a better environment and harmony in my home caused me to feel more serenity and more joy. I'll tell you exactly how I created my soulmate list, which is everything I wanted in a husband, and the reasons why it worked. I'll show you exactly what my daily rituals were and how I stayed focused on my goal no matter how many, quote, bad dates I went on. Pro tip, I put bad in quotes on purpose because there's nothing wrong with anyone we've ever met and dated. Everyone we have ever dated was a teacher. Every person in your life is teaching you something if you pay attention to the lessons. Some teachers are put into our lives so that we can learn what we don't want. Some teachers are mirrors and show us things that we didn't even realize about ourselves. Some teachers may have come into our lives so that we could learn some things that we do want. And if it doesn't work out with someone you meet, you're just not a great fit. You just don't want the same things. There's nothing wrong with that. I was attracting men who were insecure and dishonest, but super fun because I was insecure. I wasn't comfortable being honest and vulnerable with men, and I wanted a break from single momhood. I was attracting every emotionally unavailable man in all the land because I wasn't secure with myself and what I deserved. I didn't believe I deserved it. I didn't attract real love until I felt happy and content in the life I had and didn't need a break from it. But Karen, this seems like a lot of work. Well, perhaps, quote, a lot of work, but if creating joy and happiness and harmony in your life and living your best life as if you have the romantic relationship of your dreams sounds like work, then yes, I guess it's work. But it takes the same amount of effort as obsessing over the past and crying in your beer. And I'm not being insensitive. I know firsthand from experience. I spent way too much time crying in my whatever drink I had, telling whoever would listen to the same sob stories over and over and over again. And guess what? The best revenge is an incredible life. And you know what? Sometimes you do need to talk it out as a side note. You can talk about it, everything that you're going through, as long as you need to, until you feel better, until you don't need to talk about it anymore. Implementing these hypno-healing strategies, as I call them now, as a hypnotherapist, helped me to completely let go of the past, transform myself, and attract an amazing husband. And the reason why I'm so passionate about sharing my journey is because I know what it's like on the other side of all the work. My belief that attracting an awesome husband was possible came from doing the work every day and not just when I felt like it. The outcome arises from the beliefs that we accumulate by taking action every day. The actions themselves are what help you to change your beliefs. I now have a partner in every sense of the word, and it's truly incredible. You just don't know what you don't know. You may not have experienced what it's like to have true love and a marriage built on honesty and vulnerability and trust. Even though John and I drive each other crazy sometimes, we can be ourselves and we trust each other completely. He's my best friend, my closest confidant, my partner in crime, even my partner in pedicures. Such a relationship does exist, but I had never had that kind of a relationship before. And it can be true for you too. You just got to get to a place where you believe it, and only then will you attract it. And this is your guidebook for attracting the one. I like to call the single season your preparation season. Seasons come, seasons go, and your single season will not last forever. In your preparation season, it can be fun and exciting if you have the right tools. These are the strategies that help me transform my mindset and, in turn, my life. By putting all my focus on the person I wanted to become, I indirectly forgot I was single. And then bam, John saw me differently. My soulmate manifested. And he was in front of me the whole time. We met in 2009, and the day after Thanksgiving in 2014, he saw me as if I was a different person. That's because I was a different person. And I'll never forget that day too. Kind of looked at me. I walked in the door for our monthly meetings like I had every month for the last 5, 6, 7 years, however long it was. And he was like, did you like lose weight? He couldn't figure it out. He knew he saw me as a different person. He saw me differently, but he couldn't pinpoint it. I was like, no, I haven't lost weight. And thank you. He still thinks I was wearing a blue dress, but I was wearing a pink dress. Okay. So maybe you think soulmate is cheesy. That's fine. You can call him whatever you want. You can call him your husband, king, partner, dream partner, whatever resonates with you. I called him my soulmate because I wanted to spend my life with a human that would love my soul. Not my body, not my face, not the way I made him feel, but my soul, me, my true self. Now, if you're ready to rock and roll and create the relationship you want, grab a notebook or something with which to write in. You can use anything you'd like. However, if you love beautiful things like I do, you may want to purchase the Create Love Today journal available at mrskarenstanley.com. Oh, look, I happen to have one right here. This journal includes a daily planner and a gratitude journal and plenty of writing space, to-do list. It has a quote of the day. I created this specifically for you, for anybody who wants to attract their partner, because this is all of the writing and all of the journaling I did all in one beautiful place. So, but you can just use a regular notebook. You don't have to use mine. So it's everything I did and everything I wished I had when I was manifesting John, but you don't need anything fancy. You'll also find a standalone PDF of all the worksheets available for purchase and immediate download if you want. And there's a few free downloads too. You won't want to miss. Writing daily is one of the ways I stayed focused on what I wanted to create instead of on what I didn't want in my life. Writing is an extremely important piece of the puzzle that transformed my dream into my reality. Writing and changing your daily rituals changes your habitual thoughts. Your mind learns by repetition, and changing your brain requires changing your daily routine. I'll walk you through my daily routine and tell you exactly what I wrote to stay focused and change my habitual thoughts and feelings. Each one of the following chapters contains one part of the overall strategy. At the end of most chapters, there's a writing exercise. And doing these writing exercises is how you can help transform your current beliefs that are keeping you single. Oh, snap. Did she just say that? Yes, I sure did. Your current beliefs are creating your current reality. We all have many underlying beliefs in our subconscious minds that we may not be aware of. These beliefs keep us in a holding pattern, and you will continue attracting the same type of man with different names until you change the core beliefs. In the chapters to follow, I'll show you how I identified and released my old limiting, crushing beliefs about myself and about men and relationships. Those beliefs kept me single, guarded, disappointed, and unauthentic for a long time. I'm still a recovering perfectionist, people pleaser, and healing is an everyday activity. And it's possible to create new, empowering beliefs that lead you to the relationship of your dreams. It wasn't until I practiced these strategies daily that my core beliefs were finally transformed after nearly 40 years. When I committed to following this process, the same person I had known in business for 6 years became my husband. Now, that doesn't mean we have some perfect marriage. There's no such thing. The practice never ends. We all need help, and we'll always have challenges to navigate. Every day is an opportunity to be angry or sad, or to learn and grow. The last few years for us have been a doozy, to say the least. We've had the hardest challenges I think we've ever faced since we were married. John was hospitalized 3 times, changed jobs twice, was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Meanwhile, we had nonstop court battles with his ex-wife. But those are all stories for another time. They don't matter anymore. We also, since I wrote this book, he also had open heart surgery. And so we've had a lot of challenges. And the reason why I mention this is because sometimes we tell ourselves that we're not, quote, ready to be in a relationship. And you might not be right this second. And you may need a minute to be alone and work on yourselves without distractions. However, we sometimes say we're not ready, but the truth is that we're actually just afraid. We have fear. We have afraid of rejection, afraid of divorce, afraid of failure, afraid of being hurt again. And if you have a tendency to think that you're not ready, but you also know deep down inside that what you're really feeling is fear, that's completely normal. And I'm going to be so bold as to say, I don't think there's any way to be completely ready for marriage. You have no idea what's going to happen. So if no one's ready, we're all ready. I laugh inside and I think, ready for what? Like, do you think I was ready for my husband to almost die multiple times? About 6 months in, he almost had a heart attack while we were hiking. Oh, I forgot about this. I had to drive him to the ER to get a stent put in. That was 6 months in. He didn't even want to go to the hospital. He's that stubborn. I'm literally driving him to the ER and he goes, I don't think, this is the Mayo Clinic, by the way, in Scottsdale, Arizona. No, he goes, I don't think they have an ER. I'm like, yeah, they do. Shut up. Gee, I wonder why I attracted someone so stubborn. I guess we'll never know. Then he almost died of pneumonia right after we got home from our wedding. And then a couple of years later, he got cancer. I mean, what in the actual hell? He beat cancer's ass, by the way. Thank God. Thank you, God. A few years later, he had fucking open heart surgery. Give the guy a break already. My point is that we have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. So how exactly would you know whether you're ready or not? We don't. All we can do is work on ourselves. All we can do is just work on our bodies, our minds, our relationships, our goals. And I will say that I'll take all of those challenges with a husband that loves me and cherishes me any day over being alone. Can you imagine life with a partner whose priority is your care and well-being? I'd never experienced that until I spent 17 months visualizing, writing, and practicing everything I'm about to read to you. It can be your reality. It exists, and I believe it's possible for everyone. Human beings are not solitary creatures. We need love. We need partnership. We need companionship. Now, they're not needs in the same category as air and water. I mean, we won't die if we don't have a companion we love. But it's a kind of need like being in nature, watching a sunset, belly laughing and bear hugs with a person, not a bear, or holding a baby. Like life is just so much more fulfilling when we experience these things. And some people say, oh, there's no such thing as the one. Some people say there isn't just one person meant for us. And I don't believe that my first husband was a mistake or wrong or not the one. I loved him and we have 2 amazing kids. I'm a completely different person than I was when I was 22. And that relationship was perfect until it wasn't. I believe that we are created for marriage, though. And marriage is the only way to learn and grow in certain areas. Marriage is the only way to experience true intimacy, which can only be found when you're honest and vulnerable. I believe that God sent John to me because we were destined to be together. And if you don't believe in God or destiny or the law of attraction, that's completely fine. You can believe that there's a chance to find someone to love who loves you back, no matter what your beliefs. And if you're near the empty nest season like me, your kids will leave soon and you can head into that season full of plans and fun. Remind me I said that when my daughter moves out and I'm in the fetal position. You could also believe that these strategies are just success principles that can be applied to any goal, really. If you don't believe me, you could believe Tony Robbins, who says it's not about the goal, it's about who you have to become to achieve that. Becoming the person you want to be helps you attract all kinds of miracles into your life. So, Karen, you're saying that every goal is achieved with personal growth? Yes. Bitch, you crazy. No, I'm not. Hang with me. Just hang on. You can't grow unless you take action, different actions from the ones you took yesterday. The actions you've taken up to this minute right now have created the person you are right now. Look how much you've grown from the last 10 years. You become a different person when you do different shit. These success principles work regardless of your spiritual beliefs. I happen to believe that our dreams and goals are unique to each of us. I believe in God, who created the universe. God absolutely conspires with us when we take massive action and focus on what we want to create. He puts the people in our path. And Tony Robbins also said the quality of our life depends on the quality of our relationships. Because you can have all the money, all the toys, a fit physique, a big house, fancy pool, housekeeper, the best vacations, all the recognition in the world. But if your marriage sucks, it's incredibly difficult to experience any joy of anything going right in your life. And I'm sure you've already experienced this phenomenon. The same is true with our children, our loved ones. When we have a child or family member who's suffering or going through major difficulty, their struggle consumes our thoughts and our energy and our focus, and your focus is on helping them, and everything else tends to take the back seat when we're in crisis. When my son was struggling in school and was sent to the office every freaking day before testing revealed he had a learning disability, my life was not so joyful. I was consumed with researching. I was obsessing, changing his diet, cooking like gluten-free, dairy-free, dye-free food. This was a while ago. He's right now, when I'm reading this in 2024, he's 21. So when he was in second grade, it was just like I was doing anything, and gluten-free wasn't as easy to find either. Trying to remove all the dye and gluten and dairy from his diet. That was fun. Meeting with teachers and counselors, touring schools, finding solutions. We switched schools a couple times. I was homeschooling him for a while. I mean, I hardly remember any other details of our life at that time. I don't remember anything else. The good news is that the opposite is also true. When your kids and your loved ones are thriving and happy and healthy, life is beautiful. And when you have a husband just like the one that you desire and a relationship that is thriving, you experience more joy and more happiness and more fulfillment in all of the areas of your life. And this is what you may not know if you haven't experienced it yet. A loving, healthy, committed marriage enhances all other areas of your life. You can have the awesome marriage you desire and deserve. Now, it's not as if you read one book and wait on the couch and Mr. Right will knock on the door, but what do I know? He might. However, taking small, positive actions every day gives you something to celebrate. And celebrating any and all wins is a part of the strategy. Doing anything that makes you proud is a win. Reading one chapter of a book is a win. Doing one exercise is a win. Writing in your journal is a win. And any win, any progress definitely deserves a celebration. And that launches you forward to the next win. If we continually focus on our wins, we keep taking the next step, and each step gets us closer to what we want. It's an ongoing process. It's a daily practice. It's a lifetime journey. One micro movement at a time. Big dreams and big goals, like the goal of attracting a badass husband, take time, patience, faith, and most of all, courage to accomplish. Your current beliefs about relationships are hardwired into your brain from years of your own experiences. Your thoughts and beliefs are familiar, and the brain loves familiar, but familiar doesn't mean forever. If you don't believe that there's an awesome husband out there who's perfect for you, then that is the number one reason why you haven't met him yet. The idea that you find true love, it's a lie. True love starts with your most important relationship, the one with that gorgeous, amazing 1 in 7 billion, unstoppable, incredible woman staring back at you in the mirror. Finding love within and creating love every day makes you a magnet for love everywhere. True love finds you. True love won't be able to stay away. God sends him right to you. I spent my entire life being a people pleaser and trying to be perfect. I'm also kind of a chameleon. I like Metallica just as much as I like George Strait, just as much as I like Bach motets. I don't know if it's because I'm an Air Force brat. Why are we called brats, by the way? Who moved 5 times before I was 10. Or if it's because I was born this way, but it's always been easy for me to talk to anyone I don't know. I can always find something in common. And that comes in handy in business because I can ask questions for hours and hours and let clients talk about their favorite subject themselves. It comes in handy when you want to start a podcast, come to think of it. But I always had a hard time being honest with men in my personal life. I could spend hours talking about the highlights of my life and everything that I was proud of, but I could never talk about the things I was ashamed of. So I'd skip over anything that, quote, made me look bad. Pro tip, it doesn't work. If you only share half of yourself, then he will definitely do the same. If he starts to have feelings for you, who exactly is he falling for? I wish I could remember who called it sending in your representative. I love that. If we're all just sending in our representatives and we're not revealing who we really are, then the other person isn't falling in love with you at all, just the version you put on display. I spent decades being agreeable and easy to be around, which meant I did things that I really didn't like in order to please someone else I was dating, a teacher. I also refrained from doing things that I truly loved just because one of my teachers didn't like doing those things. And that kept me in the pattern of attracting teachers who were not secure within themselves and who didn't love themselves. Learn from me. You can stop pretending that you like things that you don't like and don't want to do. You can stop pretending that you want to be single. I know you're protecting your heart because it got trampled on. I know because I've been there. I also used to think that being single was great because it meant I had the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do. And I used to say I would never get married again. I used to believe that maybe when my kids went to college, that would be the only time I could find someone. I didn't genuinely believe that anyone great was going to sign up for the circus going on in my rented house with my nasty carpets until I did. Perhaps you can relate to some of these beliefs I had in the past, and perhaps yours are completely different. It doesn't matter. What matters is you releasing your limiting beliefs so you stop attracting the same type of men over and over again. I finally believed that I didn't need to be any different than I am to be loved. If you think you need to be different than you are to be loved, that is just a belief and not a fact. Your beliefs are just thoughts you have repeated over and over again. That's your old programming talking, and it's time to install a new program, just like software. It has to be updated. Only one person exactly like you exists in this entire world. You don't have to be less anything. You don't have to be less emotional or less stubborn, less intimidating. I got that one a lot. You aren't intimidating. Others may feel intimidated by you. That's a big difference. That has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. You don't have to dim your light to help others feel better about themselves. You don't have to be less of anything. You don't have to be less smart, less beautiful, less successful, less ambitious, less crazy, less overwhelming. It was so weird when people told me I was overwhelming because I'm like, am I overwhelming because I have a loud voice and I'm tall? I mean, like, what am I supposed to be? Underwhelming? It's crazy. The right man will applaud the everything in the secret sauce that makes you exactly who you are. Or maybe you're more of an introvert. You don't have to be more of anything either. more outgoing, more athletic, more fun, more adventurous, more, quote, outdoorsy. Absolutely not. I heard all of these things and felt like I had to fit into certain labels in order to be loved. I finally learned to believe that's a lie. If someone doesn't love you, great. He was put into your life to teach you something, and we can embrace all that we actually are. It's just the perfect amount for the one. You don't have to babysit the men you date. You don't have to be their mom, their savior, their doormat, or their booty call. You don't have to make excuses for them. You don't have to live on crumbs and wonder why he does what he does. You don't have to wonder if he's going to be there for you when you really need him. And you never have to have that feeling in your gut that tells you you're settling. You also don't need someone to save you. Attracting a badass husband isn't going to solve all your problems. You need to work on yourself in order to attract a badass. By practicing these strategies, I was able to give myself permission to take care of myself and my needs. Only then was I able to cultivate love within, release the pain and trauma from the past, and attract the love of my life. This is all about you, and then he will appear. I'm so excited to share my story and take this journey with you. Let's do this. All right, that was the preface, the preface. So stay tuned for chapter 1. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm so honored that you're here listening or watching and to be on your journey to help you attract the love of your life.